In a 10 daycare hole. One of the most interesting aspects of a free roam game is all the secret areas and Easter eggs you can hide, like the Portal 2 Easter egg hidden in Skyrim of all games. However, in FNAF it's much more than that, since each tiny Easter egg or detail can help us figure out what the hell has been going on in this series for the past 8 years, which makes the appearance of secret little cubby holes around the Pizzaplex very interesting. Like the one for the Moondrop and Sunnydrop animatronic hidden behind the daycare center behind a Foxy poster unlocked by taking pictures of certain cardboard cutouts that are also actually on the poster, which makes me think, are there more areas that need to be unlocked like that, or something like that? I'm sure many have tried various things, but I don't know, it feels like there should be one for like the laser gun equivalent. In this little hole, however, you can find a mini game called Balloon Boy World, which we will talk about more later on. But also, it contains a duffel bag with lore and the Golden Moon animatronic plush required from one of the achievements, so it's certainly somewhere that you'd want to go. You can also get the achievement for playing the Balloon Boy World minigame also. In at 9, Vanessa Therapy. Something I was unaware of until completing the game and getting Roxy's eyes were 16 retro CDs that can be found towards the end of the game. You have to actually have Roxy's eyes to see them though, because they don't spawn in unless you have the eyes. These can be played with a CD player hidden in a sister location secret room. The retro CDs require Roxanne's eye upgrade on Glamrock Freddy, and for the CDs to spawn in, Gregory has to be inside an upgraded Glamrock Freddy, be near the disc and like looking at where it would be, and then exiting to actually be able to collect it, otherwise it won't spawn in if you're looking away. The order in which the CDs are found does not seem to affect which recordings are unlocked, just the amount of CDs found, which is clearly a reference to the 16 tapes found in FNAF VR that weren't really found in a particular order. Collecting them just seemed to unlock them in sequence. However, these tapes seem to also contain therapy sessions between Vanessa and a therapist, as well as a therapist and another individual who goes unnamed, but could also be Gregory. We don't know because they never talk. And at 8, Fire Dave. One of the various lore duffel bags we can stumble upon in this game is a customer complaint titled Hi Dave, which upon inspection reads, quote, "Customer complaint. You should fire Dave, he sucks." And while it's short and sweet and to the point, it also is seemingly a reference to the FNAF novels, since if you're unaware, in the novels William Afton was introduced, but at first he was going by the alias Dave Miller. And considering how this customer says that we should fire Dave, I think that's a pretty telling way to reference the book's most infamous employee, and also reference the fact that Afton is in the Pizzaplex right below our noses. This duffel bag can be found on the farthest left bench next to the lockers in customer service, which seems to indicate that Dave also worked in customer service. Just a horrible place for a serial killer to work, just saying. And at 7, Joy of Creation. The anticipation for the Fazbear Fanverse initiative is building now that Security Breach has released and we don't know anything about what's coming next in the main FNAF universe. However, there are actually references to some of the Fanverse games in Security Breach. For example, the Joy of Creation Easter eggs of Ignited Freddy and Ignited Bonnie found on the House of Bear and House of Bear 2 arcade cabinets found around the Pizzaplex. This is something I actually picked up on my first time through, so needless to say, it's pretty damn cool that I was right about it. The House of Bear cabinet has Ignited Freddy's silhouette standing in the doorway, and House of Bear 2's machine features Ignited Bonnie's face, which could be considered Withered Bonnie, but given the context of Ignited Freddy on the other one, I think it's safe to say that this is Ignited Bonnie. Plus, this can also explain how these games fit into the main timeline, since the Fanverse games could just be the games that Scott's in-universe counterpart made. It would also explain why they have their own FNAF 1 version titled FNAF Plus. And at 6, Freddie Mercury. Did you know that Freddy Fazbear in the opening cutscene to FNAF Security Breach is actually making a reference to Freddie Mercury? Yeah, neither did I. But thanks to some helpful YouTube commenters, not on these videos, on other videos. It was pointed out to me there. While on stage when showcasing his name, Freddy Fazbear strikes a similar pose to Freddie Mercury, which is kind of iconic and understandable given that both their names are Freddy. And I don't really want to see Freddy getting up on his toes, grabbing his crotch and yelling, "Ow!" in reference to Michael Jackson. Someone also ended up making an album cover for the glam rock band singing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is absolutely iconic and I love it. I kind of want to hear this now though. Like, why can't we have this instead of like Freddy telling Gregory that he needs to vent like a sussy baka? Like, why has that been going around? Like, Gregory, have you heard of Among Us, Gregory? You need to vent. I don't know. And why is my TikTok For You page filled with FNAF memes and FNAF related content all of a sudden, okay? It was like the one safe place I had. But now there's like Glam Rock Freddy, filters and like sunny drop filters and Gregory being a sussy baka and like but Vanessa, I'm a material girl things. Like what the f, man, why? Halfway through into number 5, Gregory's missing. This is something I picked up on in the second ending I got in my playthrough, in what is commonly referred to as the worst ending, where you simply leave the Pizzaplex by yourself without Freddy. The first ending I got is actually the Vanny ending, which to me is my canon ending. It's a different way to explain that. But in this ending, Gregory ends up running away and hiding in a cardboard box. This box is assumed by most to be his home since he doesn't really have one and can't really return to the Pizzaplex. However, this is where this detail comes in. The newspaper he's using as a blanket has multiple silhouettes of the children who have gone missing this time around. 9 of them this time to be exact. However, the one in the bottom left corner looks an awful lot like Gregory when he's standing in front of all those security monitors in the first Security Breach trailer. I'm just saying, especially when Vanessa says that he's been wiped from the system. And I'm pretty sure one of those lore bags also shows us that we've been wiped from the system as per someone's request. So that's certainly not a coincidence. And I doubt Scott used it and just thought, oh yeah, this is easy, let's do that. No, not a chance. There has to be something there. In at 4, Monty the Murderer. One of the biggest questions this game seems to have is where did Bonnie go? While with sister location, simply put, Funtime Chica was rented out, that's not really the case with Bonnie in Security Breach. We hear Freddy say that there isn't a bunny here anymore in a somber way as if he was killed, but by who is the bigger question. In the lore duffel bags, we can find various bits of evidence though that suggest Monty could be to blame, since after all he did end up replacing Bonnie as the new bass player after his accident. But was it really an accident? Let's look at what the bags say. Quote, the bowling alley needs a retheme. While most of the Bonnie art was removed, kids keep asking where's Bonnie? Do we have an officially approved response? Which makes it seem like Bonnie isn't simply out of commission. But we can get even more specific. Quote again, 12:24 a.m. Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row headed east towards the atrium. 2:40 a.m. Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 a.m. Bonnie enters Monty Golf. And considering how that's where the log ends, we can be pretty certain that Bonnie ate the dust over at Monty Golf, which would make even more sense given that Monty replaced Bonnie, became more popular than Bonnie, and then was also the last place Bonnie was seen. Seems pretty sus to me. I mean, maybe Monty was the one who should have been venting. In at 3, pizza rumors. Again, found in one of the lore duffel bags, we get quite an interesting parallel between Fazbear Entertainment and Chuck E. Cheese. Found in a party room outside the Moondrop Daycare, we can find, quote, recycled pizza? Customer complaint. The pizza we ordered was weird. Some pieces were different sizes or didn't fit together. One slice even had different toppings. Did you recycle the old pizza from the trash? I am never coming back here unless I am given some form of major discount. Angry mom. End quote. And while they're also playing on the Karen tropes seemingly, this also has a larger reference to the conspiracy theory that Chuck E. Cheese was recycling their pizzas. It was talked about by everyone from Shane Dawson to Matt Pat, with Matt Pat seemingly proving the rumors false, since they ordered a pizza from Pascali's Pizza and from the actual Chuck E. Cheese, which are made in the same kitchen, and the pizzas from Chuck E. Cheese still looked janky as hell, when it's literally impossible to get recycled pizzas because of a pandemic. So, it's not true, but it's certainly an interesting Easter egg nonetheless. And ultimately, in at number 2, Arcade Conspiracy. The Arcade Conspiracy gets its name from one of the duffel bags that you can find, where we learn that something else seems to be going on here. Quote from this Arcade Conspiracy note, exit interview. They are working together, the arcades. They are hiding something, the glitches. Glitch them all at the same time, then the princess will recognize me. She's testing me. I am not yet worthy. The others are protecting it. Let me stay. I'm so close. Just one more night, please. I can save the princess. Now it's clear that this seems to be referencing the Princess Quest minigames, however it doesn't really seem like we have to glitch the Princess Quest games in order to win. We just have to beat them in orders from 1 to 3 and then boom we save Vanny. So what could the rest of this mean? Well, there are 3 other arcade machines that seem to be having mysterious glitches as well. The Balloon Boy World game that you can find in the theater and the secret area, Chica's Feeding Frenzy which won't turn off even when unplugged that you're supposed to be able to find in the bakery but that hasn't been added yet, and Monty Golf A-Arcade that according to its duffel bag shouldn't be in the mini golf area, but it is. So what's the deal here? What's going on with these games? And does it have anything to do with the Happiest Day minigame where we need to glitch out various minigames in order to unlock the good ending of FNAF 3? I don't know, but we won't be able to know until Chica's feeding frenzies officially added into the game because they released Security Breach without it being complete. And finally, into number 1, Freddy and Friends. In the area where you end up forcing Chica to eat garbage in order for her to get crushed, you can find a secret door. A duffel bag will be hidden next to it, indicating that you need to take a picture of the wall to continue, and doing so results in a tiny door opening so that Freddy can't actually fit through, but you can. But the room it leads to is probably one of the most interesting things at all. A replica of the room that Mike watches The Immortal and the Restless in from Sister Location, even including the basket of exotic butters. If that wasn't bad enough, you can also see the Freddy and Friends cartoon on the TV, which explains why Steel Wool was posting them to begin with if they never intended on fully releasing the release date with them, since the security code on the wall was meant to be solved using these cartoons, which is why it's playing on the TV, so you associate that code with Freddy and Friends. But needless to say, it's certainly an interesting and pretty damn cool Easter egg, although it opens up a whole other can of worms if that's the case, since, you know, Glitch Trap was found in the final episode of that, and now this series exists in the FNAF world. I don't know, maybe I'll have to do more research on this, really, to see if there's more going on here than we realized.
Number 10, Desk Man. Many believe that Desk Man is actually William Afton or Scott Cawthon. We don't know for sure, but he definitely seems to be someone who is meant to be either of those creators, just based on all the words that he says. Desk Man at one point asks you about deactivating his games, which makes him seem like he's Scott, who makes games. However, at another time he tells you that it is too late to do anything as Baby is here and she can't be deactivated, which makes him seem like he's actually William Afton. Desk Man overall is definitely a mystery and secret just waiting to be solved. His death and the words he says could reflect the games or the lore depending on which role he's actually meant to resemble. Number 9, the show will begin momentarily. When you go to see Desk Man, there is a direct reference to Sister Location that can be spotted, or rather heard. You can hear the version of Circus Baby from FNAF World saying out loud, "The show will begin momentarily. Everyone please stay in your seats." While the lights are out, it's here that Desk Man ends up being killed. We don't know if it's Baby that causes his death or whether he does so himself. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, just a quick reminder to please click like if you love this video. Anytime that you click like, you know we get a day closer to a new FNAF game. Actually, if we get a certain amount of likes, I think we get the new FNAF game like right now. I'm just kidding, that's not gonna happen. But if you want more FNAF, you can also check out our playlist. Number 8, Instant Refight. Refight? Is that a thing? Now it's a thing. I made it a thing. You're welcome. For Pork Patch, who is one of the bosses in the game and is terrifying by the way, there is a little secret that you might find useful while playing, which allows you to refight him immediately after you fail. If you fail. Hopefully you don't fail. Pork Patch just looks like some Frankenpig animatronic by the way, like an animatronic that may or may not have been made out of real pork, which is now like rotting away. I'm a little disturbed. For the Pork Patch fight, there is a little shortcut you can use, sailing on your little lily pad around and down and hitting a button in the world to refight him again. And if you didn't know about that, now you know. Number 7, the honking sound. Throughout the game franchise, there have been little Easter eggs strewn about that allow you to create a honking sound, usually by clicking on something. In the first game, this would happen when clicking on the poster. In the fourth game, this would happen when you clicked on the plushie on the bed. In FNAF World, the nose honk sound also exists, and you can find it when clicking Freddy's nose on the title screen. So if you're wondering where that honk noise went and you were hoping it was somewhere in here, you can enjoy finding it right at the beginning of the game. Honk honk! It also kinda sounds like one of those noisemakers that rolls out. What are those called? A party favor? A party blower? A party horn? You know what I mean, the things. They roll out. Number 6, finding the clock ending. This is an ending that you need to be patient in order to find. It will come up during a conversation with good old glitchy Fredbear. You gotta wait for him to get glitchy by the way, but you can't exit out of that conversation. Don't exit out. Waiting a few moments will mean that you end up getting additional instructions, being told additionally to find the clock. The clocks are scattered throughout the game, with a few being located in the Mysterious Mine, one in Pinwheel Funhouse, another in Fazbear Hills, and one in Dusting Fields. There is a specific order in which you'll collect these clocks, starting with Fazbear Hills. Before you collect each one, you will receive additional instructions to help you know where to look, and each one can be activated by completing a puzzle or solving a game. You will then have to battle Pork Patch to receive the key, which gets you access to a warp circle, which takes you to this secret ending. so many steps. It's also believed that you need to play the game on hard mode to unlock this ending. Number 5. FNAF 4 ending. The clock ending will reveal the same character from when you first started the game. This character will reassure you that we are still your friends, but asks if you still believe that. This is similar to the ending that we see from FNAF 4, but instead of telling the player that they will put them back together again, they are instead told by the character, who is obviously meant to resemble everyone's favorite psychic friend Fredbear, but shrouded in darkness, that the pieces are in place for you, but you yourself will need to find them. This ending also gives you the Crying Child trophy, which is obviously another tie to FNAF 4. Number 4. Halloween Land. Halloween Land is an update that was added to FNAF World. However, it is an area that you can only access after beating the game. It doesn't just appear as bonus content, unlike other game updates and bonus content. One of the ways you can find and access this area is to visit Deskman after beating the game. Once you talk to him and leave his home, Fredbear will appear outside and open up a portal for you. Oh, thank you, how convenient. Moving through that portal takes you to Halloween Land or the Halloween Backstage Update area, whichever you prefer to call it. Number 3. Secret Graveyard Path. In the graveyard, there is a path that takes you all the way to the beginning of the game. This shortcut can be very useful, especially if you are trying to achieve certain objectives in order to unlock trophies, endings, or other such achievements in-game. Once you've unlocked Halloween Land, this path will also become available to you, if you can find it. In order to do so, you'll need to position yourself between 2 rocks near the windmill in Fazbear Hills. From there, move left until you hit a tree. If you continue to move left without stopping, you will eventually move through that tree, sort of phasing through it, and enter Halloween Land. Ooh, spooky. Number 2. Old Man Consequences. This is an ending you have to get to in a very specific way. Okay, let's go. You have to get here by visiting glitches and moving in a very specific path to the 4th one. Once you access that glitch, it will take you to a subtunnel with nothing but some trees, a lake, and a man who is fishing on that lake. This man appears to be glitch-like himself and is red with jagged teeth and seems to be kind of shaped like a crocodile? This is Old Man Consequences. He will tell you that you have bottomed out in the code, and so this is basically the end of the line for you, and you must just accept it. This is one of the alternate endings you can get. However, if you've gotten every other ending in the game and been here multiple times before, it's actually possible to beat and kill Old Man Consequences, who doesn't really put up a fight. I guess he's just at peace with his lot. He's like, we're at the bottom of the code, you're killing me, whatever. Number 1. Final Boss. Although there are a myriad of endings in FNAF World, the secret and final boss for this game, the final boss, can only be unlocked and beaten once you have defeated all 4 Guardians and have played through the game on hard mode. Doing so will mean you can finally head to the red tent and enter it, which will allow you to approach the final boss fight. Who is the final boss in FNAF World? Why, it's none other than Scott Cawthon, of course. Well, Scott Cawthon does seem to have similarities or connections to Deskman in the game, which we talked about earlier. This is his real in-game version. Once you instigate the fight and face off with Scott in-game, he will tell you, it was fun being the puppet master, but now I grow weary. It is time to put you in your place. This fight is a tough one, by the way, but if you manage to succeed, Scott will use his dying breath to ask you, was this really the ending you wanted? Coming all the way here just to kill me? Was I really the villain in your mind? He'll tell you that he hopes you feel good about yourself killing him, and ending the story by killing the storyteller. Bursting into pixels, the words, the end, will then come up on screen.
And its end names don't matter. Scott Cawthon is the creator of the FNAF games, so I think that we can take his word for everything in the series. Unless he's trying to troll us at least. And in an interview, I'm pretty certain with Daco, he said that the names he gave the characters don't really matter. There wasn't much thought behind it, especially in the first game. The names of Jeremy, Fritz, and Mike Schmidt don't really matter. Now, whether the names of all the characters don't matter is up for debate, since he, after the first game, wanted to tell a story, so we unfortunately can't throw away or confirm the Mike Schmidt-Michelangelo connection yet. However, if you're currently looking into the meaning of those names, and maybe even names like Gregory or Elizabeth, maybe it's best to hold off on that until it's our only option. I personally don't think that we've presented every possible scenario yet, mostly because other people don't want to hear anything other than what's been generally understood right now. Like what we generally accept is what happened in FNAF. People don't want to hear something else. But hey, that's not my problem. And at 9, the books. The main series of FNAF books, those being the Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, and the Fourth Closet, don't have much connection to the actual games. They tell a different story, yet on another Earth or something like that. However, they are from the same mind as the games, so they do share common elements, and they would have some hints to help us figure out the base series, because he'd already have a story in mind for that, and he can't really just lose it entirely. But where the books really come in clutch is the Fazbear Frights series, a book series originally said to only have 5 books that ended up getting itself some more. The Fazbear Frights books are, by Scott's own words, meant to help us solve various aspects of the games, and that's where these books come in handy. Without them, we wouldn't know how William always came back, or that he just never died until actually possessing the hard drive, and many, many more things. So maybe if you're looking for answers, these books are the place to go first. Also because these stories are genuinely scary. In an FNAF multiverse. I personally cannot wait for the FNAF multiverse canon. I'm really interested to see where that canon's story will go and if it will be easier to follow than the main FNAF story. The new universe, of course, being thanks to the Fazbear Fanverse initiative Scott has put together, helping fan game creators have funding to make additional games in their series or releasing new and updated versions for their old games, with popular series like Five Nights at Candy's getting another game, as well as The Joy of Creation getting a remade collection. But this also contains FNAF Plus, a fan recreation of the first game which looks utterly terrifying, and will serve as the start of that FNAF universe's timeline. If they used like the main games, it would be complicated and like it would be weird, okay? Like from a lore perspective, like it would have to be the exact same thing and it would be weird. I love the idea of multiple Earths, as I'm sure you all know, where anything you can imagine is literally happening on another planet, and I think that that's really inspirational at times. Like you can literally do whatever you want, like whatever you set your mind to, because it's happening somewhere already. You just gotta have it happen here too. Like how else am I supposed to find the motivation to take over the world? Honestly. And at 7, the apple tree. The saying goes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and while that isn't always the case, it certainly became the case for Elizabeth in the FNAF series. Elizabeth being the daughter of the purple guy we all know and some of us love a little too much. You know, William Afton. Elizabeth, however, gets scooped on the first day of Circus Baby's Pizza World being open and gets the place shut down after a single day. She ends up possessing the animatronic in a story we all know too well, but she goes a little crazy while being an animatronic, willing to kill you in Sister Location when the power goes out, and then, you know, killing Henry in FNAF World, which is kind of poetic in a way. Like father, like daughter in this case. William took Henry's daughter's life, and William's daughter took Henry's life, which is weirdly beautiful but also horrible. And this girl is out there chopping heads off, and she like wasn't even old enough to make a Club Penguin account. Yikes. And at 6, stuck in the middle. And to those of you who may be confused as to why it would have been Elizabeth killing Henry even though she was possessing Baby at the time of his death, Elizabeth is still inside Baby. We can see it much like how we can see the body of someone else in Funtime Freddy's wireframe and the blueprints in FNAF 6. There is actually a body of a kid stuck inside Baby as well. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that William would have taken his daughter's body out of Baby since she had, you know, possessed the animatronic, and then just like threw Baby back out there to collect more kids instead of studying her even more. Like at this point, William already knew about Remnant, but he'd never seen it work. He'd never seen the possession work. He knew about it, but he didn't know about it, you know? But this time, it had something to do with his family. He had a personal stake in the matter. And the FNAF 6 wireframe is what Henry was using to lure Baby back so that he could release Elizabeth, and doesn't mention any other kind of kid that would be trapped inside of Elizabeth, or Baby, or whatever, they're the same thing. So, yeah. Halfway through at number 5, fan art. Continuing on the FNAF multiverse idea, the whoopsie we know from the original cover art of FNAF VR Help Wanted could be in fact another addition to this multiverse. While not intended, the original cover art did contain fan art. The FNAF multiverse opens up this cover to actually being a reality. If anything, these could already be in theory canon, because it's been made and released. It's not some theoretical thing that could have happened, it actually did happen, and there was a decent kerfuffle about it when the news first dropped. But at least it could be a way to get like a few more characters into the FNAF multiverse, which is definitely going to be a thing with the new FNAF games, and already a thing with the books and the upcoming movie. At least at some point, because this thing is going to have us waiting longer than The Elder Scrolls 6. And that hurts me to say on a personal level. Headed for Glitch Trap Conspiracy. Glitchtrap is the antagonist of the latest main series title, FNAF Help Wanted, the VR title that later got itself a flat version. However, he was supposedly an accident after being scanned in when they used a hard drive in order to make the AI of the animatronics. However, for an accident, this character is able to do an awful lot in game. He can interact with things like curtains and other sections of the game. Like, how is he able to do that if he was just an accident? Sure, they would have AI, but they would have had to code separate collision, right? Maybe not because like he's a spirit, but who knows. It just seems off to me like he had to have some form of help to get the control that he does in game. At least being able to interact with aspects of the game. Like he shouldn't be able to do that, right? Even we can't move curtains and stuff. The hard drive was just for AI, not collisions. And no other animatronics really move things other than Foxy and the camera in the DLC. Like, at least from what I've seen. Like, and the whole like, oh yeah, here, use this hard drive, it'll help you with the AI, that just seems shifty to me. I don't know, it's weird, okay? Something's going on there. Vanny wasn't around yet, so who did it? Who gave him the hard drive? Who did it? Which one of you? No one's going home until someone tells me who did it. And at 3, flash forward. One confusing part of the game lore to me is the death of Henry Emily, the father of the puppet and the one who set the fires in both FNAF 3 and FNAF 6. Since he stays to burn in FNAF 6, so nobody will remember the horrors that occurred. But thanks to FNAF World's additional cutscenes after an update, where we see the introduction of Baby and the death of Henry, who we figured was Henry because he says he helped create the monster, which would most likely be referring to William or the animatronics, but either way, Henry helped. But like I said, if he dies in FNAF World, how is he alive in FNAF 6? That couldn't have been Henry, right? Well, who else is at the FNAF 6 location? Baby. It could very well be that this is a flash forward to the FNAF 6 location even before sister location had been released, which is crazy and pretty cool. It also explains why Baby had to get kicked out of the Enter tribe, because she had to be a separate entity so that she could kill William, like that cutscene. And it too, no sequels. This is fairly common knowledge, but it's something everyone seems to forget, and honestly, it's crazy to think about. The original game was meant to be Scott's final attempt at being a game designer after multiple games not taking off. But thanks to some incredible ideas, reviews, mysteries, and YouTuber support, the game blew up and got itself some sequels. However, since there was no intended sequel, the canonicity of the first game can be confusing. Does it matter? Should we ignore it? No, because while it may be slightly outdated, Scott has said that the game still has significance and the game is still canon. What that really means is unknown, like if all the parts of it matter, or if we should just keep an eye on this game since it will be needed to sort out the whole timeline. Like, we don't know if all of it matters or if the things that don't conflict aren't canon. We aren't sure. Finally, in number 1, the end. There was actually meant to be an end to FNAF. The Five Nights series wasn't intended on being more than one game, as I said before, but after it got a sequel, the game wasn't going to be as long as we know it to be today. The story wasn't going to be as complicated and convoluted as it is now, because the series was supposed to end after FNAF 3. The series was going to be fairly cut and dry. William kills 5 kids by luring them into the back room, and then they get possessed. The restaurant closes and then reopens after sealing his Springtrap body inside. He is then released and Fazbear Frights opens, but burns to the ground with him inside. And with FNAF 3 being the original ending, William would have died in that fire. And honestly, I would have loved that. No confusing crying child or Big Brother shenanigans, no convoluted timeline, but Scott ended up making FNAF 4 because the community was overall disappointed with the Springtrap jump scare, and he didn't want something that disappointed people to be the last game of the series. That's why the nightmare animatronics are so terrifying. It's an overcorrection. And honestly, I understand, because, like, I am too. I'm disappointed with it. Hence why I don't think that Springtrap is that as scary of an animatronic, but also because he isn't an animatronic, he's a dude in a suit, but still. So yeah, FNAF 3 would have been the end of the series if the Springtrap jump scare had actually been scary. So I guess we can thank William for our continued content and channel growth. Thanks, dude. Many lives have been sacrificed. That's also from another interview of his, in case you're wondering.
And at 10, FNAF 4 House. Starting off with the most recent game in the series, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted Curse of Dreadbear DLC. If you decide to take a break from all the spook, you are able to get some special views of the scenery that had quite a lot of effort put into it. They have special events like Dreadbear rising out of the blood red sea, and walking into a barn behind you, Foxy's ship swaying over that very same sea, and the ever so looming Dreadbear spawning giant-sized disguised over the hills. But finally, we can actually place where this Halloween festival is taking place. In the distance on the hill, you are able to see the silhouette of a very familiar house, the same silhouette that appears in Five Nights 4. This house is commonly believed to be the Afton's family residence, which implies some things that will be taken into account later in this list. There's a lot of help wanted stuff in here because everyone has already picked the other hidden secrets to shreds, so like I gotta use the new stuff. Like, there's not really an option. Except for number 9, IV, flowers, and pills. One of the most common theories about what is happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is that what we are experiencing is happening in the mind of the crying child, who is laying in a hospital bed because of the bite and who will die at the end of the game. This theory was first brought on by the Easter eggs of an IV, a vase of flowers, and a jar of pills that can be visible next to the child's bed when the screen is brightened, because we all know how much we love to brighten screens now. These are no doubt referencing the fact that we are just truly waiting in the hospital, just approaching our deaths, thanks to the flatline we hear at the end of the game. This led to the idea that the whole game series is a dream and that you can play as the crying child in all of them, living out a life full of terror thanks to the animatronics that took your sister. And at 8, Ultimate Custom FNAF World. This Easter egg was pointed out by MapHat in one of his final timeline videos for Ultimate Custom Night, where he started the video spending 10 minutes downloading a fresh copy of both FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night so that nothing had been unlocked yet. In FNAF World, you were able to dive deep into the game's code and visit Old Man Consequences, who will say some things and then ultimately make you drown yourself because you need to get out. This reveals the secret ending of the game and gives you a trophy for it. In Ultimate Custom Night, you are able to visit Old Man Consequences as well, who tells you to leave the demon to his demons and rest your own soul. However, if you do this, you'll need to drown yourself again to leave the game. Doing this while never even playing a second of FNAF World will unlock the Old Man Consequences trophy, which is odd, but might be Scott's way of saying that the game is still canon. I mean, it did talk about sentient code and things in the game affecting the things in the real world, since you lay out clues for FNAF 3, probably hinting at the fact that the game may be the key in solving the lore going forward. Since we're seeing the same sorts of things emerge, sentient code, games affecting the outside world, it's interesting and worth exploring further. I just don't have the time for it. And at 7, Consequences. In Ultimate Custom Night, if you put Old Man Consequences in at level 1 and play his minigame, you can end up visiting his pond like in FNAF World. However, while doing this, you can hear a very faint ambiance. While it may seem like normal Five Nights at Freddy's sounds at first, when sped up it actually sounds like the distorted screams of a man. The sound goes from 2 minutes and 54 seconds to 18 seconds, and is commonly believed to be William Afton screaming in the deepest depths of hell, since we're playing as him in Ultimate Custom Night. But this also means that Afton isn't experiencing the mini game with Old Man Consequences, so how are we able to see it? And who are we playing as in this pond? Probably Golden Freddy, Cassidy, the one you should not have killed, the one who is torturing Afton for all eternity in the deepest damnation of hell because they can't leave the demon to his demons and rest their own soul. Because while there may be nothing else, at least revenge is something, right? And at 6, Endo. To find the secret, you'll need to play FNAF 2 and Help Wanted quite a bit. The fact that when you load the game, you can start off with an endoskeleton just standing in your office is honestly terrifying. And there are plenty of more secret animatronics in Help Wanted, like Helpy being behind the monitor, but he'd only get his own spot if he was buff Helpy because that would be scary. The fact that he doesn't do anything doesn't help either. We're supposed to believe that the other animatronics attack naked endoskeletons, but actually, they will leave this damn thing alone. Sure, it's because it's the first location we see in the game, so they haven't gotten that feature yet, but that just begs the question, why did they get that feature in the first place? Why did someone think it was needed for them to make this hideous beast their target? Why? Why was it required? Was it just because he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna stand around in the office, and they're like, no, get him out? I don't know. Halfway through number 5, Mini Rena and Biddy Bap. The mini arenas actually appear in Help Wanted. In the plush trap darkroom, you have the chance to see one of them in one of the doors, which is probably just a distraction tactic used by Scott just to get you to get jump scared, but it's still going to damn well work. And you can also encounter a Biddy Bap doll in Baby's mini game, where you need to close the closet door in the FNAF 4 house, but not for too long, otherwise the plush babies will kill you. Yeah, you can see the Biddy Bap near the door, and honestly, it's just freaky, especially because you can't look at it for too long, otherwise baby jump scares you because you still gotta close the damn door. Also, has anyone completed the game using only flat mode? Because from what I've seen, the game is way harder that way. If you haven't completed the game using only flat mode, let me know in the comments, because congratulations. Holy damn. In at 4, secret audio. In the corn maze stage in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, after collecting all 4 keys you are able to find a 5th purple key, where if you find it you are able to unlock the cellar in the middle of the map. If you do, you enter, finding a glitch trap bunny mask on the table of the barn you go to whenever you successfully complete a mission, except this time it's busted up and rotten. If you wear this mask in the main hub, which you can after unlocking it, you should hold the glitch trap plush you get after defeating him using the tape bros instructions. If you do so, you hear some creepy audio of a one-sided conversation between a female and someone else. Most likely glitch trap, since you know you need to be holding his plush. It seems as if she's preparing, making sure she is ready for something, and that she's made the mask. Perhaps she is waiting for his return. I mean, there was that female rabbit with a knife in one of the latest Freddy Fazbear promos. It's probably her, in all honesty. And at 3, Spring Bonnie. In Five Nights 3 on Cam 10, there is a poster of Freddy. This is the typical sight, however you can rarely see a Spring Bonnie replacing the poster, showing a cartoonish version of the main antagonist of the game. While this could very well just be a golden Bonnie, the fact that it appears in the game surrounding William Afton in the Springtrap suit is enough cause to believe that this is meant to be Spring Bonnie. It's a cute poster if you ignore all the blood and decay surrounding it, but I mean, it's about everyone's favorite human in a suit that got a load of spring locks shoved into him yet somehow survived until Pizzeria Simulator, where he ultimately burns to death in the worst parody of Blaze of Glory ever. At least he gets his comeuppance in Ultimate Custom Night, where he is being tortured by the souls of the damned for all eternity. Or is he? This is actually really interesting, especially if Glitch Trap is Willie Afton. Where's his soul gonna be if he gets out of the game? Like what? Penultimately at number 2, Glitch Trap Dance. Again, heading to the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. While in blacklight mode, or hard mode as some call it, in the main menu, if you press the button on the back of the monitor and look at the car with its headlights on for around 10 seconds, this can trigger the sight of Glitch Trap dancing at the top of the hill near the FNAF 4 house. This seems to be pointing to the highly believed theory that Glitch Trap is William Afton, who saved his consciousness in circuit boards, who has been brought back to life in Help Wanted. This could also answer the question of whose car is sitting there. It could be the player's, but they acknowledge how the game is a game, so why would the car be yours? The fact that you need to look at the car indicates to me that it is William Afton's car, the one we see him kill Henry's kitten in FNAF 2, and the one he drives in Midnight Motorist. That's what it seems like to me, and to several others as well, so there you go. Finally, in at number 1, it's me. There was only one person who was able to see this Easter egg to my knowledge, and it involves getting the Curse of Dreadbear DLC and completing the game to be taken to the victory screen. There you will find 3 posters reminiscent of the ones in the alleyway in Pizzeria Simulator. However, the issue arises when you realize that to be able to unlock this Easter egg, you need to get 3 clown posters, which is incredibly rare, and I mean like incredibly rare. Plus, then you need to hit them with darts, which you only get 4 of, and if you miss 2 of them, you're screwed. So be sure you get your skills up to par before actually finding these posters. If you do manage to do this, the barn changes to seemingly a blacklight version, where the banner changes to read "It's me" and everything starts glowing because of the blacklight. While this hasn't been completed by more than Johnny Blocks from what I've seen, it may still be true, but I mean he did also do that and then get 3 cat posters like immediately after, so he might have been hacking. I'll have to look into it on my own to see if it's real. It would take a long time though.